Miles again here in San Francisco, top voice speaker and startup advisor on the topic of AI agent engineering and AI agents. And I'm going to kind of go into a little more deep dive for those who are interested in how AI agents should work or ought to work. I'm going to let you know after 600,000 tests of the large language models, over $30,000 spent in experiments in real world settings, exactly how to build your own AI agent in order to change the world. Now, these are the things I'm going to be talking more about that will be built into an upcoming launch of my platform. But I will say that it's important to understand the world of AI agents so that you can be prepared in the largest business opportunity the world has ever seen. So I'm going to dive right in. Number one, we do see the world changing in massive ways. Number one of which we have large language models that we just, text back and forth. Maybe they give us images. They're starting to give us video, stuff like that. But right now, what we're starting to see is the emergence of AI agents. And what AI agents actually do is they actually are given access to the real world. They're initiated by some stimulus called a trigger. They're given information to work upon, and then they think, and then they reason. They pull information in a what's called an information retrieval system, and that's either internal or external. And then they decide, what tools to use and how to utilize those tools. What information those tools get. Does it send an email? Does it send a text message? Does it go onto the computer? Does it click, drag, drop? We are still waiting on some technology breakthroughs associated with the performance to cost ratio associated with these large language models still need to come down because AI agents take a lot of tokens, especially when you get into the image and video streaming generation. And reasoning, but also we're waiting for computer use to get better. I'm using some of the latest, most advanced computer use systems at scale, and they're very challenging. They're very tricky. They still need improvement. So we're still waiting on these things. But once these things emerge and once we're able to actually utilize these in full, then this is how to understand AI agents. Number one. Is the most important part about AI agents. When they actually do work for your business, for your company, for yourself as an individual, every AI agent needs to have a crazy amount of access to preferences, procedures, and policies, even by you or by your small business or by your enterprise. Either way, these systems take a lot of information. I mean, a lot of information. And so what does that mean? The context window is not large enough. You put everything in the context window every single time. It's extremely expensive from a token developer standpoint. So this information either needs to be brought down in chunks and summarized chunks, or it needs to be put into a graph RAG system. These kind of systems that I've been talking about way before anybody else has been talking about them. And so these kind of systems are becoming more mature. There's some infrastructure layer companies are actually building these out. One of the founders I met, I'll probably drop the link below. But I want to see, it's like mystery something.ai. There's also a browser use tool that's very, very new. That's up and coming, called browser use, like a computer use tool, really, that's able to set up virtual environments and work in those virtual environments based on prompting. The other insight here is that when you work with enterprises, companies, they all have cloud, databases, infrastructure that they're not wanting to just hop off and just go do something else. So really the real access, we want to build another integration between all these apps. But the reality is, once computer use comes about, they'll be able to access anything online. Click, drag, drop, fill out forms, complete captchas for you even. Act just like a human on the internet, which is what we'll need for the success of AI agents to take part. But there's a strategy in information retrieval that I pioneered before anybody talked about it, called graph RAG, and now a new one I'm talking about called dynamic graph RAG. When information comes in and a task is set, the task needs to be completed. it is there's a long tail, infinite number of situations that can occur to get between you and the destination. These little, very narrow workflows are working today very well and are very useful in very narrow use cases. But the reality is the work of tomorrow, the future of work, and the real value, the original promise of AI is going to come from really dynamic compound systems that actually take one planning stage, think about what information needs to be retrieved next, if any, and then retrieves all that information, takes all that information into the next planning stage, or creates multiple branches, or merges branches even, by which they retrieve more information. And this can go on many times. Sometimes you reach out to a guest, and a guest is mentioned much earlier in the chat, unknown to the original AI agent or the client, hey, I had requested this about my reservation or stay in the vacation rental market, for example. And then based on that preference, then it has to go into a third planning stage and then look up the policy associated with that preference relevant to this specific task in general, and should not really be no reason to pull up, that task in any other situation. So very interesting. Like I said, this can be an infinite number of ways these things can play out. And so these AI agents have to be extremely dynamic, extremely flexible in the way they even pull information. It just has to be that way. This is the only way we're going to see really true, robust AI agents actually at play. So just kind of showing you around San Francisco a little bit. And so it's what I call dynamic graph RAG, where we have multiple layers in what's called a dynamic graph, that it pulls information in chunks. I'm using chunks for simplicity. Pulls information in chunks, decides what other information needs to pull, pulls that information, decides what to pull, pulls more information, decides what to pull. It's also aware of how many planning stages it's been in, how many planning stages it's going to be in the future, etc. Very interesting. Very fascinating. And we don't see AI agents like this today. No one's talking about this. When you get down to the really nitty gritty, the people who have actually been building AI agents, those you can tell they've been really been in the weeds actually doing this stuff, really utilizing this stuff, is actually talking about these type of things, these really dynamic. I mean, even investors that I talk to really don't understand. Like, it seems like, oh, I think there's an AI agent for everything now, or like it's early stages and this and that, and it's like, no, it's actually very few people that understand. Like, you need a really true dynamic system. Even the simplest of narrowest use cases can't handle the long tail. An ambulance. The very long tail of things that can occur, like this. The very rare situations like this that occur that you can't expect, you can't anticipate. You just have to know that the AI agent is going to a already pre-specified degree of autonomy with different autonomy levels in this domain. In these type of situations, always reach out to this individual, and in these situations, always never reach out to anybody. Always just assume. So there's different levels of autonomy. Do we give the AI agent full autonomy, or do we give the AI agent less autonomy? Is it always human in the loop, or is it sometimes human in the loop, or is it never human in the loop? How much autonomy? Well, it depends on the situation. So it's loud. Even the AI agent needs to, learn. It needs to know in what situation how much autonomy it should have over the situation, as opposed to reaching out. Then you have enterprises. Then you have different individuals assigned with what tasks and what roles. And these AI agents have to learn over time. So the other key, going into the nitty gritty of AI agent building, is that there is never going to be an AI agent perfect out of the box for any company ever, any industry, no matter how small the niche, ever. These AI agents will never work. They have to be able to learn dynamically. They have to be much like an intern, a super intern, that once they learn a specific task in a specific area about your startup, the preferences, policies, and procedures, then they proceed with more confidence next time. Just like a smart new intern, fresh out of college maybe, just entering the workforce. They're unsure. They don't know the industry too well. They don't know, what do. They ask their manager, and the boss will say, okay, next time just always in these situations do this. Or the manager would say, you know what, in these situations, just reach out to me just in case. It's kind of an edge case that we're not sure of. Those are the kind of things that we teach the AI agent. Those are the kind of things that the agent needs to know to learn over time. We do not see an example of an AI agent that learns really well, that makes distinctions between very temporary, very ephemeral information, one-off situation pieces of information, very narrow case pieces of information, and broad-based whole domain pieces of information that applies to all situations in a particular category. These AI agents don't exist yet. When they do, they're going to be very valuable. I mean, they're going to be 10 to 100x more valuable. We're still getting there. We're still building. Trust me, we are building it like crazy, and the smartest people know. And we're talking about it here. Those that have actually been building, we know. We wink, we nod. We hear the gem. We hear the gem in a conversation, and we look around like he knows. He knows. And we can say this to people who kind of like are tech enthusiasts, are like, oh yeah, it's an interesting idea. They don't realize how important what I'm saying right now is, which is these AI agents. It's very important that they learn. It's very important that they make distinctions between, ephemeral information and long-term information that applies to a lot more situations than just the current situation. Human in the loop always, unless specified otherwise. So human in the loop by default, unless specified otherwise. Sometimes following instructions means you don't have to reach out to your manager. Don't worry about it. There's a degree of certainty an AI agent has, and you should be able to set with a between a 0 and 100% degree of confidence that the AI agent has, whether to proceed on its own or whether to reach out to the human in loop. So I'm just riffing on literally the most innovative, pioneering what I call behavioral engineering or behavioral design techniques in AI agent engineering. So just even connect with me. I'm up for talking about this all day long, but I want to talk with people that really know how to build, like really know the frontier in AI agents, that understand the value and the importance of AI agents. So reach out to me, comment, like, subscribe. I forgot this is a YouTube video. It's kind of riffing off and riffing off of an other conversation I had earlier today. So again, here in San Francisco, guys, talking about the things the world will be talking about 2 years from now. Make sure to stay connected. Bye.